Welcome to People in Power, the podcast where real 805 culture meets Central Coast politics. From the streets to City Hall, this show dives deep into the movements shaping the 805 with real talk, community, and policy. If you're about that life, the culture, and the power of the people, then you're in the right place. Get ready for raw conversations, fresh perspectives, and the voices pushing the community forward. This is People in Power, where politics and the people are always in rhythm. Let's get into it.
All right, buckle up, because we're diving deep into this San Luis Obispo City Council election.
Oh, yes.
You guys sent in a ton of stuff.
I know.
Articles, campaign promises, even some official city stuff.
It's a lot.
Yeah, so it seems like you really want to make sure you know what's up before you vote this year.
Absolutely.
Which I love. So before we get into who's who and what's what with the candidates, let's back up a sec. What kind of city government even is this in San Luis Obispo?
Well, luckily, you sent over this 2024 candidate orientation thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like a gold mine.
Okay.
It says San Luis Obispo is a council manager system.
So what does that even mean? In real life, how does that actually work?
So think of it kind of like a company.
Yeah.
Where the city council is like the board of directors.
Guys.
They make the big picture decisions, set the agenda, and then the city manager is like the CEO. They actually run the day-to-day stuff, based on what the council decides.
Makes sense. So this election, we're picking who's on that board, basically, with all the power. Speaking of, what are some of the biggest things on their plate right now? I saw in your notes the city's finances are a little scary right now.
Yeah, scary might be dramatic, but it's definitely a challenge.
Okay.
Inflation's hitting everyone hard. And then on top of that, the city's got these pension obligations through CalPERS, the California Public Employees Retirement System.
Right.
So that's a big chunk of change right there.
Yeah.
And then you've got to factor in all the stuff they need to pay for. They're talking about a 5th fire station.
Oh, wow.
Which obviously doesn't come cheap.
I can imagine. So with all that going on, dealing with housing and homelessness must be even harder.
It definitely adds another layer of complexity.
Yeah.
It's already tough to find affordable housing in San Luis Obispo. And the homeless population is growing, so it's how do you stretch these funds even further?
Trying to solve 10 puzzles at once.
Basically.
And on top of that, we have climate change we have to deal with.
Yeah.
San Luis Obispo wants to be carbon neutral by 2035?
That's the goal.
So that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it's a lot on their plate, that's for sure.
It seems like the new city council is going to have a lot to deal with, no matter who wins.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the candidates, let's talk about Donald Hedrick. He's not exactly new to this whole San Luis Obispo politics thing, is he?
He's definitely not a stranger to the campaign trail, that's for sure.
This is his, what?
6th?
6th time running for mayor?
You got it.
6th time, wow. What keeps bringing him back?
Well, from the articles you sent, it seems like he really, really cares about San Luis Obispo. But he also sees things a little differently than your average person,
Yeah.
He actually calls himself a harbinger.
A what?
A harbinger, which basically means someone who sees problems coming and tries to warn people.
Oh, interesting.
And he's not afraid to be provocative either. Remember that sculpture of his, the homeless whale?
Oh, yeah, that was definitely a statement.
Exactly. So he's not afraid to get people's attention and make them think.
So he's bringing that same energy to this campaign.
Oh, absolutely. Big time.
Okay, so what's he got planned? What are his big ideas?
Well, one that really stands out is this idea of localizing electricity.
Okay.
Turning every house into its own little power plant with solar panels and batteries and all that.
So everyone would be energy independent.
That's the dream, at least according to Hedrick.
Ambitious for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. It would be a huge undertaking, and who knows how much it would cost.
And speaking of big, kind of out there ideas, what's this about Laguna Lake?
Oh, you mean his plan to make it deeper?
Yeah, I gotta admit, that one left me scratching my head a bit.
Yeah, I get it.
What's the logic there?
Honestly, the stuff you sent didn't really explain in any detail.
Huh?
It's almost like he just likes throwing out these big, bold ideas.
I get people talking.
Maybe. It's definitely working.
Right, so he's a big picture guy then, more about the what than the how.
Yeah, kinda. But it's
Yeah.
not all just flashy ideas with him. He's also really concerned about preserving the character of San Luis Obispo.
Right, which comes up a lot with these local elections.
For sure, he's worried about all the development, you know?
Yeah.
He's actually said he doesn't want to see San Luis Obispo turn into Gotham City.
Gotham City, wow.
Yeah. So he's definitely not afraid to use strong language.
It sounds like he's really tapping into this fear that the city is changing too fast and losing what makes it special.
Absolutely. And this ties into another big part of his campaign. He thinks there's corruption in city government.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't shy away from saying that.
Nope, not at all. But
did the articles actually mention any proof of that?
that's the thing. They don't really get into specifics. It seems more like it's based on his personal opinion.
Okay.
But even without hard evidence, it's a big part of his message.
It's like he's running as the anti-establishment candidate then.
Right, like he's the only one brave enough to call out the corruption.
Trying to appeal to those voters who feel like the system is rigged or something.
Yeah, definitely tapping into that sentiment, for sure.
Okay, so we've got the bold visionary in Donald Hedrick, but now let's talk about his opponent, the incumbent Erica Stewart. Okay, so we've got the bold visionary in Donald Hedrick, but now let's talk about his opponent, the incumbent Erica Stewart.
Right, going from the challenger to the current mayor, hoping to keep her seat.
Yeah, and her background is a whole different story too, right?
Definitely. I mean, you've got community volunteer, Cal Poly lecturer, even ran her own small business at one point.
Wow, talk about well-rounded.
Seriously, she's deeply rooted in San Luis Obispo, that's for sure.
So she's got experience on her side. How's she using that in this election?
Her whole campaign seems to be, look at what I've already gotten done.
So she's letting her record speak for itself.
Pretty much, yeah. Her website is like a highlight reel of accomplishments.
Okay, so she's the steady hand candidate, the one who gets things done.
That's the vibe I'm getting.
What are some of the big things she's focusing on this time around?
Well, diversity, equity, inclusion, all that is huge for her.
Right, which is a big topic everywhere these days.
For sure, and she's got some concrete examples of progress.
Okay, like what?
Well, for one, they actually created a whole new position in city government.
Oh, wow.
A DEI manager, specifically to focus on that stuff.
That's pretty major.
And then there's the mobile crisis unit, which is a big deal for mental health support.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So they're already out there doing it, not just talking about it.
Right. And that seems to be a theme with her.
Okay, so what about these big issues, though, like housing and homelessness?
You're right. Can't avoid the elephant in the room.
Exactly. Everyone's talking about it.
And Stewart doesn't shy away from it at all. In fact, she acknowledges it head on.
Good. So what's her plan then?
It's multifaceted, which seems to be her style.
Okay, so break that down for me. What does that actually look like?
So part of it is making it easier to actually build more affordable housing.
Okay, cut through the red tape kind of thing.
Exactly. Streamline the approvals and all that.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't help the people who need help right now.
That's the other part of her plan. She's also pushing for more funding for support services.
To actually help people get back on their feet.
Yes. Like she gets that just having a roof isn't always enough, you know?
So it's more complicated than that.
Exactly. It's about addressing the root causes.
So she's thinking holistically.
I think that's a good word for it. She sees how everything's connected.
And speaking of connected, climate action has to be on her list too, right?
Huge, especially with San Luis Obispo aiming for carbon neutrality.
Yeah, what's she done on that front?
Well, first of all, she's all about those open spaces, expanding them, protecting them.
Oh, like the Mayoral open space.
Exactly. She was a big part of making that happen.
No way. I love that place.
See, her work in action.
That's awesome.
And then there's this whole clean energy program she pushed for,
Okay.
which basically makes it so all new buildings in San Luis Obispo have to be all electric.
Wow, that's a big change.
Yeah, no more gas and new construction.
So she's not afraid to make those tough calls.
Nope. She's in it for the long haul, making those systemic changes.
Which is what we need with climate change, right?
Exactly. It's not a quick fix kind of problem.
So she's thinking big picture, long term. How does that play out with other stuff, though?
We'll take transportation, for example. She's a big believer in having options.
Oh, you mean like not just everyone driving everywhere?
That's it, making it easier to bike, walk, take the bus, all that good stuff.
Which is smart, especially with all the traffic in San Luis Obispo.
Tell me about it. So she's been working on a bunch of things related to that.
Like what? Give me the specifics.
Well, they finished this whole active transportation plan, for one.
Okay.
And they've been buying electric buses for the public transit system.
Nice. Getting with the times.
Right. And remember that new railroad safety trail? That was her doing too.
Oh, right. I heard about that. So she's got the environment, transportation. What about the economy, though?
That's where her business experience comes in handy. She talks a lot about supporting local businesses.
Especially after the pandemic, everyone took a hit.
Exactly. So she's all about building a strong, resilient local economy.
So what's her plan there?
It's not just one thing, more like a multi-pronged approach.
Ah, her specialty.
Right, so keeping the city budget balanced is a big one.
Makes sense. Can't do much without that.
And then there are those grant programs for struggling businesses. Remember those?
Oh yeah, those were a lifesaver for some folk.
And even back during the pandemic, she was encouraging people to shop local.
Trying to keep those businesses afloat.
Exactly. So she's got her hands in a lot of different things.
It's interesting to see the contrast between her and Hedrick. You know?
It is, right. You've got the bold ideas guy versus the experienced leader.
And it's tough because it's not about who's better objectively. It's about what kind of leadership you want.
That's what it boils down to, yeah.
Do you want someone who's going to shake things up or someone who's going to build on what we've already got?
Exactly. Who do you trust to navigate all these complicated issues?
Because like we talked about at the beginning, there's a lot on their plate right now.
It's a tough job, whoever gets it.
And honestly, I'm kind of more torn now than I was before.
Haha, see? That's what a good deep dive is supposed to do.
It's not about telling you what to think.
It's about giving you the information so you can decide for yourself.
This has been super helpful to get a handle on these two candidates, but obviously there's always more to learn.
Always. These are just two pieces of the puzzle.
So to everyone listening, don't stop here.
Yeah, keep digging.
Read up on their platforms, talk to people, maybe even go to a city council meeting.
Get involved.
The more informed you are, the better choices you can make.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
This election is in your hands, San Luis Obispo, so make your voice heard.
Your city, your vote.
And as always, happy deep diving, everyone.